If you find it hard to learn things or feel like it's almost impossible to absorb information when it takes other people no time or effort at all, you're not slow. You're probably just learning incorrectly. There's an effective technique to learn almost anything made popular by this guy, Richard Feynman, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. This technique is used to explain complex topics as if you were teaching it to a 10 or 12-year-old. So in other words, you teach to learn. This works because you're explaining and teaching something in your own words, in the exact way you'd understand it. This method of learning has certainly helped me, and in fact I'd say it's improved my communication with others too. Before looking at how to use the Feynman technique, what actually sets us back from learning something new? Distractions. In our modern world, it's easier than ever to be distracted. Attention spans are getting shorter, and picking up our phone or opening up another tab in our browser can send you down a rabbit hole, completely derailing you from what you should be focusing on. Being distracted makes it hard to focus and difficult to immerse yourself, especially when trying to learn. Fooling yourself. Assuming you know everything already when you don't is another stumbling block to learning. Fooling yourself is simply an Achilles heel, arrogantly saying things like, "I know this already," or "I got this," when you have clear gaps in your knowledge. This attitude ultimately hurts you in the long run, so rather just admit to yourself that you don't know and learn. Being impatient. Most people also tend to give up far too quickly, either because they're impatient or hold themselves to impossible standards where any kind of mistake is treated as a complete failure. This is not only unrealistic, but extreme. When a baby learns to walk, we all have so much patience for them. And when they fall down, we don't tell them to throw in the towel or just give up already, you can't do this. It's quite the opposite. So why do it to yourself? Before you start learning, remove distractions. Don't fool yourself and approach it like a baby. Small steps at first, but put in the work and encourage yourself to never give up. So how do you supercharge your learning using the Feynman technique? There are 3 simple steps. Step 1, understand the topic and write it down in points. You can't teach anything really well if you don't understand it. So take the time, read, watch videos, and write down points. At first, view this as a high-level overview, not focusing on all the details yet, but skimming over things to get a baseline, then circling back to fill in the details as you drill down. For me, it's like layers. Skim the surface and then peel back more and more and more. This might sound tedious, and it does take time, but it will deepen your understanding of the topic rather than trying to learn it verbatim, which you'll probably forget anyway. Step 2, pretend you're teaching it to a child, either by writing down your explanation or literally saying it out loud like you're teaching it to someone. Pretending you're teaching it to a 12-year-old also makes you focus on simplifying and using your own words. Using your own language helps you remember and better understand. You can also try recording yourself and reviewing it. Often saying it out loud makes you see gaps or something you might have missed. Step 3, find any parts that you're struggling with, simplify, and go back to the source material to fill in the holes. If you're missing something, go back to the original material and revise. Then try simplify again. The more you try simplifying, the deeper your understanding gets. Let's see an example of this in action. Confirmation bias is one of the many reasons we make bad decisions. So how can I learn about confirmation bias and how it affects decision making using the Feynman technique? Without unpacking the textbook definition, here's my take on it using step 1, writing down points based on my understanding. Confirmation bias is seeking out or cherry-picking information that confirms pre-existing beliefs. So in other words, you're filtering or interpreting information incorrectly, leading to serious misjudgments. Next, I'll simplify and teach. It's like wearing a pair of glasses that only lets you see what you want to see and makes everything else blurry or invisible. For example, let's say you think that your favorite football team is the best team ever, when someone else tells you that another team has won more games or has better players. You might not want to believe it because it doesn't match up with what you think. Knowledge falls in 2 buckets, knowing something and understanding something. Feynman's technique helps you understand the reason behind the facts you know. There are 3 books that will be linked in the description if you want to do some further reading on effective ways to learn, and if you're interested in personal growth, mental models, and things like that, take a look at this video. As always, appreciate your time and attention. I'll see you in the next one.